Today we have with us Meenakshi Lekhi, National Spokesperson of Bharatiya Janata Party and also Member of Parliament from the New Delhi constituency. Mrs. Lekhi will be talking to us on various initiatives in the e-governance space that the NDA government plans to take and also on various issues in the e-commerce scenario. She'll also throw some light on how collaboration with the private digital companies and the government can help bridge digital divide between the end consumers, which is the Aam Janata, and of course the government. Hi Mrs. Lekhi, welcome on VCC TV. So Mrs. Lekhi, recently there have been these huge developments in terms of e-commerce sector. Many of the established companies like Flipkart and Amazon, they've gone ahead and one has raised huge amount of funding, the other one has said that they'll be investing huge amount of money, and on the other hand there are many youth, young people who are actually not going in the conventional direction, not opting for things like engineering or maybe becoming a doctor, but instead trying their hands on entrepreneurship. So with these developments, where do you think the country is headed to?
You see, two are related but not so related questions. One is digital penetration. What we are looking at is a huge amount of work which is needed because digitization is directly related to the education, and only when a person is more educated can really go on the net, etc. But we are trying to make it simpler and simpler by way of apps, etc. And also the next step in terms of digital revolution is not the computers but Android phones, and thus the amount of information, data transmission a phone can give, and especially when India has a huge penetration of mobile networks. So one is looking at that system and training those people. Even in terms of percentage to our population, we may be low, but in terms of sheer numbers, we are still very, very big. So all these big companies, e-commerce companies, are looking at the market. They are not sort of doing us any favor, but they are looking at their own market prospect, which is their job. And in the process, what I have learned is that most of the products which are being sold in India are of Chinese make, and these companies are selling a whole lot of Chinese products through direct transaction. I personally, as an Indian, would prefer that more and more Indian companies should start using e-commerce venue to sell their products, so that the penetration is deep down and we can use warehousing facility and other such stuff to reach out to various other people. Plus, when you say more and more people are looking towards entrepreneurship and not pursuing with their original qualification of being engineers from some of the most prestigious institutions, it has twofold implication. One is that the job satisfaction which a person is looking at is not there. Two, there is some sort of glass ceiling when you're in a job that you can earn so much and not beyond, because it's a job. Whereas in entrepreneurship, you may start with a company with a very little amount. It can grow into a few millions very soon, and then you have the capacity to move on to a next product and increase all that. So under those circumstances, I think it's very evident that people find entrepreneurship more not just challenging but beneficial as well. So obviously more and more people are trying their hand at entrepreneurship. So you have a huge amount of startups, and today I think if country needs to progress, not everything can be done by the government. End of the day, it is the entrepreneurship skills of any country's population is what will determine the next step. And whether it's manufacturing sector, MSMEs, SMEs, or trade or retail, they will determine where we go.
Right. So talking on the same lines, ma'am, you just said there have to be some Indian companies as well who actually have to come into this space. In case if entrepreneurs or startups come up to you, present a really good business model, Would you be interested in incubating any of them or funding, maybe helping them out with some infrastructure facilities?
Absolutely. I've already done that. I've had the incubation center launches in Bangalore. I've done 2 such launches, and you'll be surprised that the volunteer group which works for me free of cost, and a very brainy group that is, most of them are engineers and IITians.
Okay.
And I am, so I have a huge amount of technocrats team which is supporting my cause. They just are participating in nation building. So it's like my contribution to what I can do, and that I think gives a lot of muscle to the brains we are looking at for anybody to get ahead, because the kind of obstacles which are in the path of governance are insurmountable, because the policies have been very, very wrong, and especially 10 years which could have been the fruitful years for the country's economy, have actually taken us back many years. And under those circumstances, the startup funds I had asked for, we've got it in the budget. The skill development that one was speaking about, one's got that in the budget.
Even the cabinet.
And yeah, that's what I'm saying. So a huge amount is being spent on building the infrastructure, which is in coming times going to be the spinal cord of our economy. Because see, the China model is doing well because they're very good with logistics. Germany is doing well because they're very, very good with SMEs and MSMEs. Japan is doing well because they have a huge number of R&D and MSME and SMEs. No country can progress until and unless you have skilled population, until and unless you have a backroom support of the production, and until and unless there's a scientific management of resources. So I think if you really need to help your country progress, these are the factors you need to keep in mind.
Sure. And also on the same lines, you individually also launched an app called Constituency app for the people of your constituency a couple of days before. True. So tell us something as to what went behind that, and going forward, what other initiatives can we see happening in your constituency?
A couple of things. One is that it is not just Constituency Connect, which was a job done by me. To begin with, even when elections had not been announced, I had done work with Raksha app. Okay. And that's a women's security app. So we have used high quality technology to produce this app, which has issues like geofencing, which has protection, like if by mistake some particular button gets pressed, then 5 times the phone is going to ask you, are you safe? And 5 minutes later again the phone is going to ask you, are you safe? So you have to go through a particular circuitous route, and only when you are familiar with the system will you say, yes, I am safe.
This happened before the election?
This happened before the election, and then it's a very small volume button pressed for 3 seconds, which can alert a whole lot of systems.
Okay, interesting.
And give your geographical location, not just in terms of coordinates, northeast 5 degrees and 7 degrees west, not like that, but it will be more like Connaught Place, E Block 123.
Interesting.
So, which is a big favor, because then you're giving an exact location where the person was last seen and was in trouble. So tracking becomes much easier. Then Raksha will detect another Raksha. So maybe by the time enforcement comes, by the time your people get to speak to the police, etc., there is somebody who's in close by proximity using the same app. It will alert and identify that, and it will alert that person. So it has some super features, and we've added, and even the iPhone model is there. So,
and these are for Android and iOS?
Yes, Raksha is. Constituency Connect, we are still working on the iOS, but it is for the Android right now.
How much money was spent for Constituency Connect?
Zero.
I mean, there would have been some budget which went into infrastructure development.
Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing. It's a voluntary help, which was given to me by my support team.
Okay.
So, and that is what I'm saying. How many people can claim to be as blessed that they have a support team which is superbly technocratically smart, thinking and devoted. An earlier version of Raksha is something which was sold to a foreign police service.
Okay.
I wouldn't disclose which one, but we sold it. And these kids made some money, a huge sum of money.
Also, talking about the digital literacy initiatives, what is the step taken in that direction?
I have the project with me today, and I can share it with you, but I'm looking for some sponsors, and I'm looking for some vans, and I'm looking for some people who will carry it forward. And interestingly, between then and now, which is just about 2 days, today's the second day, we've got the project already.
Now, how many companies have shown the interest?
Many companies. In fact, I was planning to work with some of these people who are already delivering for some of the e-commerce sites. So I was just thinking that if they wish to collaborate with me, and we are running a, say, Swachh Bharat campaign, all they need to do is, and I can improve upon that app to that extent, that these kids can be given, or these men can be, or women can be given access to it without being the people who are living in my constituency. Constituency Connect is exclusive to my constituency because you have to add your voter ID, only then can you get hooked on, otherwise you can't. There should not be any faking, because the faking will be detected.
Things that people get to do through Constituency Connect, what are the
complaints, local body complaints, invites, my schedule, if I'm in a particular area, that gets to be put on that. It is working, but I wish the efficiency of the system will definitely depend on two factors. One is the mechanism with which maximum number of people reach out to me. So digital literacy becomes important from that perspective, and the response system of the government, that if I'm sending those complaints, in how much time they are being responded to. It is here I feel the need of digital literacy, because I'm feeling like any other profession or system, women and elderly are excluded from the revolution which digital literacy can bring in. Either due to phobia, lack of interest, or nobody is interested in looking after their interests. And these are the people who are sitting at home and are the ones who are suffering and are a huge resource in terms of nation building, which is being neglected. In that context, I think I'll be bridging that gap if I reach out to women and elderly for digital literacy.
And which all companies have shown interest in the same project so far?
Huge number of companies. You'll be surprised, and I don't want to disclose them on the camera right now, because I want projects to go through.
India government, especially Mr. Modi, has been talking a lot on digital inclination of the government. On the same backdrop, what would be your take on having FDI in the e-commerce sector?
That's a bit of a technical issue, because FDI in e-commerce sector is one part, and as I discussed with you, that if FDI is going to be used only to sell Chinese products in my country, and money is going to be taken out of this country, and it virtually means FDI in retail. I'm really not interested. There have to be laws, I wouldn't say to curb it, but to tax it the way it has to be. And this can't be a route that what you can't do directly, you do it indirectly. So whatever you can do directly should be done indirectly as well, and it should be done within the premise of laws and legal mechanism, because as Indian, I feel why should handbags and socks and shirts which my manufacturers are manufacturing should be bought from China, and the money continues to go out. It is not really helping my economy. Then I would want to have some law pertaining that. Right now it's a grey area where it is kind of not being taken control of, unless the companies, whatever are the rules regarding FDI, that backup services, investment in infrastructure, production, etc., is taken care of. And yeah. So until unless those parameters are met, I'm really not keen. You can't just cheat me differently. So those are a bit technical issues, but I think there is a gap area which government has not really taken note of as yet, which I am watching. And in due course, I would expect government to sort of take me.
Can you share with us what has been your personal experience?
Oh my God, you're asking, I mean, I'm going to make a confession, and which is going to be a startling confession. I am so scared of using credit card online that personally I've never shopped online.
Okay.
Never. And I'm making a confession, and which you will find very funny, that here is a person who's talking about e-governance and e-commerce and understands some basic fundamentals and wants to promote digital literacy and things, and has never used her credit card. And I'm so scared that it will get misused. I have that huge phobia.
Singapore government has been providing tax soap to setting up of a startup ecosystem in the country. Do you think NDA government will be able
We've already done it.
Yeah, but in the long run, will you be ensuring that the startups get an equally beneficial?
Oh, much more than that. We are even putting the seed money and a whole lot of facilities, and we are talking about cluster development and things. So we are at it, and providing all kinds of facilities. It's just that we need to have a very, very strong spine in terms of electricity, optic fiber network, clean drinking water, and safety and security. I think once we have these four, we will be where we wish to be.
Talking again on digitization, Mr. Modi is all out on WhatsApp and Facebook and Twitter, and he's just created his own social networking, the government's own social networking website, My Government, wherein people can actually, participate and put in their own voice as to how they want things to be done. Given that, can you share with us what sort of feedbacks or valuable suggestions or grievances the government has actually been receiving so far? Because we know that you can, but what you have actually been receiving, perhaps nobody knows.
I know more about Constituency Connect because that's where I get to hear a lot, and I get to sort of supervise it directly. In Delhi, concerning Delhi, I've always known the problems: drainage, water, housing, safety, electricity, and skill development through which you need to give employment. These are the basic issues of any urbanized India. I mean, I got a lot of complaints from Vasant Vihar because we all, whenever you're using the airport plane and coming back to Delhi, the area around Dholakwa and Referral is completely chock-a-block, and that's every Delhiite's problem. So that needs to be put in order. The particular model which was suggested by the earlier government is something which Vasant Vihar and Vasant Kunj and Vasant Enclave residents are not approving. They want a different, and according to them, the money which has been kept aside by the previous government is much extra than the need.
Essentially, it's almost the complaints that you get offline is now being coming online, and
the analysis is much easier and efficiency increases. And end of the day, I mean, I always knew calculation. It's just that if it's a big number, I need to sit down with the pen and paper to calculate.
That's right.
And computers made it easy.
Talking on the same lines, ma'am, we got to see that in the NDA government, the spokesperson or even the party, the ministry representatives, the ministers, sometimes the MPs, they are very reluctant to talk to media. Is there something that has actually happened after the election?
No, not really. I mean, I was a spokesperson. I am still a spokesperson. You're sitting with me and I'm speaking to you, but you've seen my schedule. You've seen the schedule that today, when I am in the government, I just need to work on the promises I have made at the cost of cutting my interaction with my constituency voter and the people. I don't want to waste time on the TV. I feel once people have given you a mandate, now work should do the talking. In fact, I look at it differently. I have done plenty of Google Hangouts, so I'm connected to my constituency. Anyways, I am attending RWA meetings and things. Those are the people I need to address directly. So the interface which media provided with e-technology, with Twitter, Facebook, Constituency Connect, in any case you've surpassed that barrier. And you're reaching out to your constituency, but if you're a spokesperson and all, then your canvas as it is changes. I mean, you're just not representing, say, New Delhi as a constituency, then you're representing BJP as a whole. And there could be subject matters which you need to speak on in the media. You need to go to the, channels to express yourself. You may have to have a press conference and speak on certain issues, so one is doing that. But personally, it's all about being pretty occupied elsewhere. Like being in the government, you need to perform.
All right, Ms. Lekhi, on those lines, I would like to thank you and appreciate you for your time. Thank you so much for joining us on VCC TV.
Thank you.